When Aaron Major started high school at Northwood Academy in Summerville, South Carolina, it didn't take long before he caught the eye of Kadie Hall. Aaron was 2 years younger than Kadie and 3 grades below her, but he was cute and rode dirt bikes, and sometimes that's all it takes to turn a girl's head. 9 years later, Kadie would be found dead on the side of the railroad tracks in Moncks Corner, South Carolina. And although it would take another 11 years after her death, Aaron would eventually be named the prime suspect in her murder. Welcome back to the Agatha May Detective Agency. I'm Agatha May, and I'm so glad you've joined me for a new case. Before we get into the episode, please hit the subscribe button if you enjoy true crime with a lot of common sense and a handful or two of snark. Now, let's begin our story. Kadie and Aaron dated through high school and married while they were still young. Aaron went to work for Kadie's father, who owned a house painting business. Life seemed to be going well, and in March of 2007, Kadie gave birth to their daughter, Lynn. Kadie wanted to be a mother more than anything, so it wasn't long before she found out she was pregnant again, and she was thrilled about the pregnancy. The day before she died, she found out she was carrying a boy. She had already picked out a name for him, Aiden Robert Major. The night of January 16th, 2008, in Moncks Corner, South Carolina, was unusually cold. And to make it even more of a miserable night, weather-wise, it was sleeting. Sometime that evening, Kadie left her house with her 10-month-old daughter, Lynn. Kadie was nervous and told her husband, Aaron, she thought someone was going to kill her and didn't want to go into the house. He also said that she seemed paranoid about him. I think that was a way to water down that she was scared of him. He told her to wait for him to take a shower, and then he'd take her anywhere she wanted to go. She had mentioned going to a hotel to sleep for the night. While he was in the shower, Kadie left with Lynn. And that's all according to Aaron, and I'll say up front that I don't believe him. Kadie had spoken on the phone with her mother, Vicki Hall, that evening around 6:45, and everything seemed to be fine. She didn't sound nervous or paranoid or scared, and never told her mother that she was worried someone was going to kill her. Their phone conversation also happened while Aaron was in the shower, so supposedly after she and Aaron had had their talk. At almost 2 in the morning, Aaron called Kadie's parents and told them he was outside their house and asked if he could come in, that he needed to talk to them about something. He told them the story about Kadie being worried about someone killing her, and he convinced her parents that Kadie had gone to a hotel to spend the night. Then he started talking about conspiracy theories, end of the world type things, which isn't something you'd normally talk about when your wife is missing. So Kadie's mother, Vicki, decided to go look for Kadie at the local hotels and had Aaron go with her. But during the ride, Aaron didn't seem concerned and wasn't even looking for Kadie or her truck. He was back to talking about the world ending. Also during this ride, Vicki noticed that his right hand was extremely swollen and that he wasn't using it to open the truck door. So how had he injured his hand? Katie's sister had been staying at Kadie and Aaron's house and had called her mother and asked her to please come pick her up. So Vicki did, and then Aaron got in his truck and they went their separate ways to cover more ground. Later that morning, Aaron called Vicki and told her that he'd heard on the radio that a train had hit a vehicle on Oakley Road in Moncks Corner and 2 people were dead. Vicki immediately headed to Oakley Road, while Aaron headed north out of the county. Now, if I thought there was even the slightest possibility that my spouse and child had been hit by a train, I would be going there myself. I wouldn't be heading out of the county. I would be on my way as soon as I heard the news. So why didn't Aaron go? I think it's because he knew what would be found there, and he thought that if he wasn't on the scene, he wouldn't be a suspect. It was later determined that that news had never been on the radio. So Vicki drove to Oakley Road, but there wasn't a wreck there. But she did see Kadie's truck about 500 feet from the railroad tracks, and she immediately knew something was very wrong. She was approached by officers who asked her who'd sent her there, and she told them that it was Aaron. Kadie's body had been found by a rail yard worker alongside of the railroad tracks. She had deep lacerations across her abdomen and on her inside right thigh. River Lynn was found in a stream 50 yards away from where Kadie was found. The lead investigator on the case was Rick Olick, and if I said he was dumb, that would be generous. From some comments I've seen by residents of Moncks Corner, Rick wasn't very well liked, and his catchphrase was, "I don't recall." Maybe Rick should have been a politician. It was originally posited that Kadie had been hit by something sticking out from the side of the train, which seems like that would have made her death an accident. But Rick said he thought Kadie had purposely ran into the side of the train while she was holding River, and River was thrown into the stream when Kadie ran into the train. There was also a theory that Kadie had murdered River and then killed herself. But Kadie's family said there was no way she would have ever harmed River. The cause of death for River Lynn was asphyxia by drowning. The manner, however, was undetermined. There was mention by family members that she had a bump on her head. And I would think that if River had been thrown from the impact of Kadie hitting the train, she would have had a lot more injuries than just a bump on her head. Part of Rick's reasoning for thinking that Kadie had committed suicide, if you even want to call it reasoning, is that there was a piece of paper found in one of Kadie's pockets. She had written bits of information that referred to conspiracy theories, such as the Antichrist could be a woman and could gold be world currency. Rick decided that because of this, Kadie had to be paranoid and was suicidal. I told you Rick was dumb, and it seems as though he was lazy too. And if Aaron was the one talking about the world ending and other conspiracy theories, why didn't Rick think that maybe Kadie was writing down the things Aaron was talking about? These seem more like notes being taken rather than thoughts being written down, if that makes sense. I just can't believe that Rick thought the paper proved anything. And let's think about the injuries on Kadie for a minute. She had a laceration across her abdomen and the inside of her right thigh. Now, a laceration is when the skin splits from an injury. It's different from an incision, which is made by a sharp object. So, we're to believe that Kadie committed suicide by either standing beside the train and letting something that was on the side of it hit her, or she ran into the side of it. I don't think that's how people who are going to end their life via train usually do it. They typically jump in front of the train or lie down on the tracks. And if she decided to just run into the side of the train, why was she only injured on her abdomen and leg? If she was going to jump into the side of a train, she would have had to have had her back arched in order for only her abdomen and leg to get hit. It seems as though if she was going to jump, she would have led with her head. And the train tracks where she was walking are on a berm, so there's a slope on either side of the tracks, which would make it even harder to run up and hit the side of the train. Plus, there was sleet that night, so the gravel on the sides of the tracks was more than likely wet and maybe even a little slick from the sleet. Then there's the fact that she would have had to walk over half a mile in the dark while it was sleeting and while carrying a 10-month-old child and 4 months pregnant. And if she was doing all of that, I think it was because she was running from someone. The best I can tell, Kadie was found south of the Oakley Road intersection. The train was traveling north, which means that Kadie was hit on the right side. She would have had to been on the right side of the train, if you're sitting in it, walking south. The original investigators stated that the train was southbound, but later, smarter investigators found it was actually a northbound train. I haven't found any record of there being an investigation of any train, though. I would have thought that they would have located the trains that traveled through there that night to see if there was evidence on the train that it had actually hit Kadie. But if they didn't even know which direction the train was going, I don't think that happened. Kadie's mother lived in the direction that Kadie was running, and her farm wasn't too far from the railroad tracks. So if she was running from someone, was she trying to get to the safety of her mother's house? 2 days after Kadie died, Aaron's mother, and it's either Randa or Rhonda, it's Rahnda, called Vicky and told her that Aaron wanted Kadie's funeral to be a private one. So private that he would be the only one in attendance. Excuse me? Why would he want that? Why deny Kadie's family being able to say goodbye to her? In the end, Aaron did not get a private funeral. Kadie's mother and father, Vicky and Jeff Hall, went to Aaron's house to discuss the funeral and burial. While they were there, the coroner, Bill Salisbury, went to the house and told everyone there that he considered Kadie's death to be a suicide. Dipwad Rick Oleg agreed with Bill, so Kadie's death was ruled a suicide. But it had been decided before the toxicology report was ever complete, and even before the autopsy was complete. And that's where we'll leave it for now. In the next episode, we'll discuss Kadie's funeral, look at the investigation, or lack thereof, and talk more about actions that make Aaron look guilty and about whether or not he had a dark secret he was hiding from Kadie. Thank you so much for being here. If you've made it to the end, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and please share the video so more people can learn about Kadie's case. I'll be back soon with episode 2. Until then, stay safe and be happy.